crowd. Hello, Phoenix. We are so excited to welcome Governor Walz back to the great state of Arizona. Now, you all may not know this, but Gabby and Tim were sworn in together as new members of Congress. 2007. So they've been friends for a very long time, and because of that, Gabby is going to get to go first. So my wife, the woman who inspires me each and every day to keep moving ahead, Gabby Giffords.
Thank you. Gabby Giffords. I was born in the great state of Arizona. I was born with grit. I grew up racing motorcycles, mucking stalls, and exploring the beautiful desert. I fell for an astronaut. For 5 years, I served in Congress from a swing district. Everybody called me a rising star. Then on January 8th, 2011, men tried to assassinate me. He shot 19 people. She killed 6. Terrible, terrible day. I almost died. But I fought for my life, and I survived. I learned to walk again one step at a time. I learned to talk again one word at a time. So many people helped me as I worked hard to recover, including a decent man for Delaware who always checked in on me. He still does. Thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you for everything. Yeah, thank you. Joe is a great president. My friend Kamala will be a great president! She is tough. She has grit. Kamala stood up to Wall Street and the drug companies. She will protect abortion access. We'll defend our freedom. She will save lives. Join me in voting for Kamala Harris. Thank you.
All right, folks, here's the thing. And, you know, Gabby and I don't have to tell you, all of you, what is at stake in this election. Whether women today grow up with the same rights and freedoms as the generations before them, or are subject to a national abortion ban. Whether our economy works for everyday people with lower costs and more opportunity, or is rigged for billionaires. Which means when it's and folks, when an economy is rigged for billionaires, what that means is higher costs for everyday families and working people. What is also at stake is whether we solve tough issues like the border and our broken immigration system, or we just see more talk and more photo ops. We don't need that. That's why we have to elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and send Ruben Gallego to help me in the U.S. Senate. Gabby and I know Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is a fighter who has served as a prosecutor, an attorney general, a senator, and now as our vice president. Tim Walz, Tim has been a coach, a teacher. Go Teachers. He's been a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, served with Gabby. And he's been the governor of Minnesota. And they are leaders who are ready to serve all of America. Donald Trump. Donald Trump has shown himself to be unfit. He has shown himself to be unstable. And it should be clear to everybody in this room and across this great country that Donald Trump looks out for one person, and that's Donald Trump. So, folks, let me ask you a question. How do we win? Folks, this is not rocket science. If it was, I could help. Right, Gabby? This really comes down to one thing. It comes down to who works harder. Now, I might be a Navy guy. I served in the United States Navy for 25 years. But to win this election, we do not need a Navy. We need an Army. We need an army of people willing to put in the work. Now, here's the good news. Our future vice president, he's an Army guy. So, Tim, Gabby, and I need all of you to become part of that Army. So here's the first order of business. It is to vote, and to vote early. If you haven't voted already, vote today. If you can't vote today, vote tomorrow. Fill out your ballot when you get home, put it in the mail, drop it off. Please do not wait. Now, here's the second thing I need all of you to do. Gabby and I are asking all of you, before you leave today, to sign up for a volunteer shift. We have about 120,000 volunteers across the state. We need about 150,000. We need folks knocking on doors and making phone calls. So for those of you that are here in person, find a volunteer that is here tonight and sign up. Yes. And if you're at home, if anybody's watching at home, head to kamalaharris.com to figure out how you can get involved. If we work harder, in 10 days, we'll turn the page and move this country forward. So Gabby and I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for your incredible enthusiasm. Thank you for voting. Thank you for getting your friends and neighbors to vote. And in 10 short days, we will elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Please welcome TV personality, proud Latina, and childless dog mom, Anna Navarro.
Hello, Phoenix. Hello, Arizona. Buenas tardes. So I want to tell you, last time I was here doing politics was 2016, and I was here helping campaign for my friend John McCain. I can't tell you how much I miss him, how much I miss his voice and his moral clarity. And I was here for John McCain because I have been a staunch Republican my entire life. I worked on campaigns, I supported candidates, I donated. Don't boo. This was before Donald Trump. This was back when the Republican Party had some level of sanity and decency. So I'm here to tell you about what it was like for me to vote against Donald Trump. I vote my conscience in 2016. It was the first time I did not vote for a Republican in 2016. And I gotta tell you something, it was hard, but I also have to tell you, voting against Donald Trump felt good. There is something so liberating, and there is something so, it just gives you inner strength to know that you are voting for your principles and your convictions, and you are voting for the best for America. And look, the reason I voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016 was because I was in Florida, which was a swing state. And when you are from a swing state, you have got the responsibility to vote and vote your conscience. You can't leave it blank. I was in Florida when the presidential election was decided in the year 2000 by 534 votes. So if you think in Arizona your vote doesn't count, you are wrong. Go out and make it count. And so this year, I already voted in Florida so I could come here and be with you guys. And let me tell you who I voted for and why I voted. I voted for Kamala Devi Harris. And why did I vote like that? I'm voting for my nieces, and I'm voting for our daughters and our granddaughters so that they have the same rights that we grew up having. I am voting for my brother Daniel, who is disabled, because I refuse to vote for a man who makes fun of disabled people. I am voting for decency and the rule of law, because this choice could not be easier. On one hand is a woman who prosecutes criminals. On the other is a convicted criminal. I am voting for childless cat ladies and childless dog ladies. Because J.D. Vance does not get to determine my value based on my uterus. I am voting for our service people, for the men and women of the military, for our POWs. I am voting for veterans. I am voting for those that are buried in our military cemeteries, because I will never forgive Donald Trump for speaking against John McCain. John McCain was a hero. Donald Trump is a zero. And lastly, I am voting for my community. ¿Dónde están mis latinos? Because let me tell you this. The other day I read that a lot of Latinos think that when Donald Trump says racist things, he's not talking about them. Wake up, people. Who the hell do you think he's talking about? So let me say this. When he said, I'm gonna vote for my community because I refuse to forget. I refuse to have Trump amnesia. He said that we were rapists and criminals. I will remember. He said that we are vermin. I will remember. He said that we poison the blood of this country. I will remember. He said that we are invaders. I will remember. His rhetoric helped inspire a man who drove 600 miles and hunted down Latinos in a El Paso Walmart. I will remember. He said just the other day that we are the trash can of the world. That came out of the trash can that is his mouth. And we are going to send Donald Trump to the trash can of history. And I'm going to end by telling you a final story, because apparently there's people out there who say that they still don't know Kamala Harris. Do you have YouTube? Do you have Google? If you don't know Kamala Harris, you should know Donald Trump. And that should be enough. But in the event, I just want to tell you this final story about my friend Kamala Harris. I've known her for 8 years. She's a spectacular woman. She's going to be an amazing president. And one of the reasons is when my mom died 2.5 years ago, and I got a call from Vice President Kamala Harris. She called me not as Vice President, she called me as my friend Kamala. And she helped me through the grief. She helped me navigate that horrible absence and sadness. She told me how to remember my mom. She lifted me up from the saddest moment of my life. And you know, as President of the United States, invariably there will be times when we need a president to hold us. There will be tragedies. There will be fires and earthquakes and hurricanes and tornadoes. There will be attacks. There will be mass shootings because the damn Republicans aren't doing anything to stop them. We need gun reform in this country, and we need Kamala Harris to push it forward. And I know, we need a president with compassion and empathy. And I know that my friend Kamala Harris can do for this country what she did for me. She can lift us up. She can hold us. She can console us. So please, elect Kamala Harris.
Please welcome comedian and actor George Lopez.
Governor George Lopez, thank you very much. I have been coming to Arizona since the 80s. Same hair, no. And I know what Arizona is, I know what Arizona can be, I know what the people of Arizona are, and the people of Arizona will put Tim Walz and Kamala Harris into the White House. When you look around in this room, this is what America looks like. enough lies. Donald Trump said he was going to build a wall, and George Lopez said, you better build it in one day, because if you leave that material out there overnight, he also said that he was going to get Mexico to pay for the wall. I wish you would have asked me. We can't even really split a check at a restaurant, but you know, it sounded nice at the time. I have known Kamala Harris for 16 years. And she is the real deal. That is who she is. She comes from a great family. I knew her mother. They called her mommy. She said, call me mommy. I said, I'd love to. A scientist, a 5-foot woman who said to her children when something didn't go their way, what are you going to do now? How are you going to handle that? All positive, all love. That's what you do when you're a great mother. And we're going to send her daughter, Kamala Harris, to the White House. A real family. I mean, I think you can have a family that gets along and not, you know, some kids that don't speak to you. I don't know. I also thought Donald Trump was a little Latino at first. I mean, he messed up the first time, and then he says, let me back in there. I'll do better. We're not going back. I have nothing against white people. I think they're amazing. When they're all white, not orange. I mean, turn over. My message is simple. We will put a teacher into the White House. We will put a teacher in the White House. We won't put someone who thinks that the sound of windmills causes cancer. We're going to put a teacher in the White House. But the guy who thinks that windmills cause cancer wants to destroy the Board of Education. That's not going to happen. This is just the beginning of the greatest future this country has ever seen. So join me in welcoming to the stage the next Vice President of the United States of America, Mr. Tim Walz. Hello, Phoenix! Wow!
Well, hello, Phoenix. It's pretty clear everybody knows the assignment in this room. Well done. Can I just give a huge thank you to Trevor G. Brown, the staff and students of this school. A thank you to the Bruin Band. They let me walk through the lunchroom, a place where I spent a big part of my life, so I appreciate that. Can I just say a huge thank you to George Lopez to start with here. Look, George Lopez has brought so much joy to so many of us over the years, and yet here he is continuing to work for his community above and beyond. I got to tell you, thank you. And I'm going to be thanking all of you for being here, but this guy is here tonight, and he's missing his beloved Dodgers playing in the World Series. So there it is. So he's here. He's here. And to Anna Navarro, please. Speaking it like it is, and I have to tell you, there is something listening to that warmed my heart. The idea that Anna Navarro is going to carry a grudge against Donald Trump forever is so great. So thank you. And Arizona, you have no shortage of heroes that you produce out of this state. And I will have to say, it was a privilege for me to go in the class of 2006 to the United States Congress with Gabby Giffords. And so, I might add, it's because of Gabby Giffords' work that in the state of Minnesota now we have enhanced background checks and red flag laws protecting people from gun violence. And we were coming. We were over at Window Rock with the Navajo Nation this afternoon to get them fired up. And I was there, and I have my daughter along, and we were listening to and watching someone who's a national treasure too, your Senator Mark Kelly over there. And we're flying back, and my daughter just hits me, and she goes, "That guy's been to space and flew space shuttle." So, yeah, don't forget that. And you heard Anna Navarro mention it with John McCain. This is a state of heroes. State of heroes. So thank you. And give him a partner. We know we're going to need to hold the United States Senate and the House. Send Ruben Gallego to the United States Senate. He's great. He's fantastic. You got fantastic. We're going to pick up some of these House seats, but to each and every one of you, look, it's Saturday night. It's I was going to say it's a beautiful night out, but I feel like I say this as a Minnesotan. Every time I come here, I feel like a snowman melting. You know, so I do 30 below really well. It's the other. So, but look, you came here, you found parking, you came into a high school gym. You could have been anywhere, but you're here for that simple reason: you love this country, and I thank you for that. Thank you. Yay, yay. Yeah, thank you all. You saw it at the convention in Chicago. Those days are over where those guys get to think that they're patriots when all they do is crap on this country. And you saw it. We took the flag back. Kamala, Beyonce, and the rest of you took freedom back, that's for sure. And I'll be damned if Donald Trump will lecture me on what family values are. So we took the flag, we took freedom, we took family values, and this one for me personally, I'm taking football back from them. So there you go. We're going. Here it is, brass tacks. We got 10 days. We got 10 days left to the election. I am honored to be on this ticket, standing there with Kamala Harris. I'll tell you, we are running like everything's on the line, because everything is. Yes. We're not going back. Look, you know we're running everything on the line. Thank you all. Look, you know how hard we're running, and this idea, people are saying, why the intensity? Why running so hard? We are running like everything is on the line because it is. Look, I know you hear this. You hear it from people say, look, we survived Donald Trump's first presidency. How bad could it be? We can make it through another. That's right. The complacency of that is what's dangerous. We know it. Finding the courage to come out for some of these folks, to speak out and sound the alarm. You're hearing a lifelong Republican in Navarro saying, this guy's wrong for America. And look, the last several weeks, Donald Trump is descending into madness. You have heard the people closest to him, and the vice president calls it a 911 to the American people. Because this Donald Trump, those insiders say, this Donald Trump is not the Donald Trump of 2016. That's not the Donald Trump who's running today. This Donald Trump called for a termination of the Constitution. This Donald Trump stood there and said, and will not back down, he will send the United States military after people who do not support him. He's talking about today, he said the enemy within is more dangerous than the dictator in North Korea with nuclear weapons. Now look, I know I'm on the top of that list, but don't kid yourself, you're on the list too. That's how they are. So look, the highest ranking enlisted soldier, the highest ranking soldier in our military, General Mark Milley, at the time was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He was working with Donald Trump, and he said, and I quote, Donald Trump is the most dangerous person ever. James Mattis, four-star Marine general, his own Secretary of Defense said, I agree. And earlier this week, John Kelly, another four-star career general. These are not Democrats. These are career military people, our heroes here, speaking it. Their job is to speak it. His chief of staff came out on the record and said, Donald Trump is a textbook fascist and would rule like a dictator. Don't pretend, to all of you watching at home or anyone here, don't pretend that any of this is normal. It is not. It is the opposite of normal. Look, General Kelly behind closed doors, Trump said to them, think about this, Trump said to them, I need the kind of generals that Hitler had. To all the look, he has a long history of crapping on our armed forces. You know that's what he does. He disgraced the legacy of John McCain. He'll do anything. And as a 24-year veteran, myself and all the veterans in here, that should make you sick. And for all those who served, we were out there on Navajo Nation where they serve at a higher rate than anybody. And they lost one of the last code talkers who was out there. These are folks that gave their lives. Yes. I know Donald doesn't know his history very well, but be very clear to it. It was the sons of Minnesota and Arizona that were there to beat the hell out of the Nazis and Adolf Hitler. He's on the wrong side of things. Look, you don't even have to listen to these closest advisors, these folks who were there, these military heroes. Just listen to Donald Trump. Just listen to what he said. You know the saying, when somebody tells you who they are, believe them. Here's what Donald Trump said, his own words. He said he would be a dictator on day one. On day one. Now, folks, the guardrails that used to be around him are no longer there. The guardrails around Donald Trump and totalitarianism Donald Trump, if there were safety, and those people who tell you, hey, we got through the first 4 years, the institutions will hold, think about what's changed. Donald Trump now has the Supreme Court. They've effectively given Donald Trump full immunity to do whatever he wants to do as president. This is where Barack Obama says, don't vote, don't boo, vote. Don't boo, vote. So, there we go. Well, look. That's it. If he is reelected, he will be able to appoint up to 2 more justices on that court. So for all of you to think about it, this isn't the next 4 years. This is your grandchildren's lifetime that they will be making decisions over. And Lord knows, speaking of guardrails, there is no courage in the Republican members of the Congress and the Senate to do anything against Donald Trump. Not a damn one of them. You know what's surprising to me is that any of them can stand up without a spine. It makes it very difficult, because none of them do. But you know what? That's not all Republicans. You got one that met me on the tarmac out here in Mayor Giles who said, I'm a Republican and I'll stand up to him. I'll stand up to him. Well, look, I said almost all the guardrails were gone, but the most important guardrail is still here. You, the people, are here. You. Donald Trump can lie, he can bluster, he can pretend, he can do whatever he wants to do. But just think about it. In 10 days, we beat him at the ballot box and make Kamala Harris president. So I see some, by nature, I'm a super optimistic person. And teachers in here, I have to be. We're optimistic people. We see a positive future every day. So I know that was pretty heavy stuff. But look, here's the good news, Arizona. There's that simple solution, and it's up on the wall. Arizona votes early for Kamala Harris. There you go. Now look, we know there's a huge difference, and I want to be clear on this. You came here, you're fired up. I get it too. Don't think I don't get it. I realize I'm preaching to the choir, but the reason I'm here is our recital is in 10 days, choir, and we need to sing. We need to sing. So it's important. It's important for us to know the difference. And we saw it. My God, we saw it during the debate. Could there have been a greater difference for this? You had a competent, visionary, compassionate, effective leader in Kamala Harris. And over here, you had a nearly 80-year-old man yelling at clouds. I mean, that's what it basically was. So look, Kamala Harris has a to-do list for the American public. Donald Trump has an enemies list against the American public. So what? She is showing us, and we have a new way forward. And we have a responsibility. We know that the economy works best when we make sure that we're working for the middle class, lowering costs on middle class families so everyone gets an opportunity. Donald Trump has no solutions. Donald Trump admires the problem. He's the guy that drives by the fire, tries to tell the fire department to put it out, and it turns out he started the damn fire. That's that guy. So look, we know this. We've laid out a plan to try and get, he goes into a grocery store and a woman's buying groceries, and he gives her $100, whatever, to pay for groceries, showing like, you know, what the heck's he going to do about the prices. I got to thinking, why is he doing that? I'm pretty sure he just pays off every woman he sees because of the stuff he's done. That's my thing. So you know it. How insulting. How insulting. And then to go cosplay like he worked in McDonald's, insulting people who do the hard work. He has no idea. So look, Kamala Harris does. It starts with making sure we focus on the middle class, 100 million Minnesota Americans receiving a middle class tax cut. Make sure it's there. We did it. What Kamala Harris is proposing, a $6,000 child tax credit, we did it in Minnesota. It reduces childhood poverty by 1/3. Now, and I see the folks here in the middle and those that have young children, the cost of childcare is scary. It's hard to find. So focusing on getting more providers and the help to pay for that, those are things that make a difference so that people can go out, join the economy, live the lives they want. When J.D. Vance got asked about these, he'd just have grandma do it. Because they asked Donald Trump what to do. Did you see this interview? They asked Donald Trump what to do about child care, and it looked like his brain just broke mid-sentence. It was nothing. Now, you don't need a president who doesn't understand these things matter. These things matter. And look, I want to talk about the idea of the price gouging and things. The best example of this is around insulin. And if those of you in here who are diabetic or need insulin, it's life or death. This isn't like, oh, I'd like to buy something nice for myself. It's like, if I don't have this, I die. And people die from it. And we saw it in Minnesota where a young man named Alex Smith aged off his parents' insurance. He started to try and ration his insulin, and he died. And his mom, Nicole, came to the capital of Minnesota and said, I don't ever want another family to have to go through this. And we passed a law making sure insulin was capped at $35. That's what Kamala Harris wants for everyone. And now, we're all, for those of us in here who understand a free market economy and everything, they keep saying, oh, it's some type of conspiracy that we don't want to have price gouging. Let me give two examples of price gouging. That insulin that we capped at $35, before we capped it, would sell up to $800 is what it would cost. It costs $5 to make it. That's not free market, that's price gouging. And we saw a hurricane coming to Florida, and people were told to get out as soon as they can. Wow, what a mystery. Airline flights shot through the roof, the price of an airline flight. That's not capitalism, that's immoral. That is actually price gouging. And at the grocery store, prices are up. You know what's not up? The price they're paying my farmers in Minnesota. They're not receiving the pay. Somebody in the middle's taking the money, and you're paying for it. Now, this idea of dignity in the vice president proposed something. Again, I'm speaking to the folks here with less hair, a little gray. Those of you who are younger, trust me on this when I tell you this. When you turn 60, you will start paying attention to Medicare. You'll start, the old folks in here know, because here's the deal. Medicare and Social Security are the two greatest anti-poverty programs that allow people to retire with dignity. Fantastic. While Donald Trump called it a Ponzi scheme, Vice President Harris proposed a transformational move on this, allowing Medicare to pay for in-home care for our seniors. Big deal. And some of you young people don't know it, but they don't pay for glasses or hearing aids. She proposed making sure Medicare does both of that for our seniors. Now, look, let's dispel the myth. Donald Trump always has these plans. There has not been a worse business person in American history than Donald Trump. So when your uncle tells you, I like Donald Trump because he's a businessman, he goes broke. He goes broke. He's a terrible businessman. And when it comes to Social Security, what he's proposing will bankrupt Social Security in 6 years. Now look, give the guy a break. From his place where he's at, he got $400 million from his dad. Then he proceeded to basically almost lose that because he's a horrible businessman. But he's got enough money down at Mar-a-Lago. You think he cares if the Social Security check comes? My mom does. My nearly 90-year-old mom cares because it's how she pays for food and heat. It's pretty important. And guess what? We paid into Social Security. It's not theirs. Now, you don't ever hear him talk about this. That guy now, because he looks at the polling, people like Social Security. People like Medicare. People like women like having being able to make the decision about their own body. And guess what else people like? They like the Affordable Care Act. Now, Donald Trump, a couple weeks ago, I'm standing next to J.D. Vance after Donald Trump said he had some type of outline or scheme of a plan or whatever he calls it, concept of a plan. Then J.D. tried to explain it, and I said, you should go back to the concept because your explanation is worse than the concept. Because look, they're going to strip away. The reason the ACA is so successful and why people like it is because of the ACA, insurance companies can't deny you care for a pre-existing condition. You know, a pre-existing condition like being a woman, a pre-existing condition like hurting your knee playing sports when you're younger, asthma, whatever it is. Look, insurance companies figure this out. You know how you make money? Even Donald could make money doing this. If you're an insurance company, you change the law so that you get to pick who you cover. And then you go pick the youngest, healthiest people, and you leave the rest of us out on the side. And then you do everything you can to make sure people can't get paid when they go in and make a claim, and they make it difficult for you. That's how the system works. The ACA protects us from that. He tried 60 times to get rid of the ACA. You know the only reason he didn't do it? John McCain showed the courage. John McCain. So look, and we need to keep the Senate because we don't have John McCain right now. We need to make sure, and I can tell you, I don't think there's another one on the other side on the Republican senators that would have the courage that John McCain had. That's why we need to keep the Senate, because they will try it again. Look, Kamala and I know we want to help more folks get started on businesses too. This idea that you should start your own small business, the idea that we could put in $20,000 forgivable grants, get your business off the ground, $50,000 tax credit to get you going. That's how you start small businesses. Look, you'll create jobs and create wealth. We'll get it back. But somebody asked, you know how Donald Trump doesn't go on anything, but they asked Kamala Harris exactly every little thing how we're going to fix it. So she answered it. How are you going to pay for this? You know how we could start paying for it? Make Donald Trump pay his damn taxes and the people who are there. That's how we can pay for it. Look, I want to be very careful when I say this, guys. I've said Donald Trump never keeps his word. That's untrue. J.D. Vance and Donald Trump have a very clear plan. He's kept his word on this. He kept his word when he brought them down to Mar-a-Lago and he said, you're rich as hell and I'm going to give you a tax cut. He did keep his word on that. So now he's got friends like Elon Musk prancing around on stage with him. I'm sorry for all you people who bought Teslas. So just put a bumper sticker over it that said you didn't know he was this weird when you bought it. That's all you got to do. So look, I think especially in Arizona, there's folks in this room that consider themselves independents or, as Anna said, a Republican, but not MAGA, not Donald Trump. And I think we should remember, the Republican Party contributed much to this country. When the Republican Party of old talked about freedom, they meant it. But let's be clear, that's not these guys. That's not these guys. When these guys talk about freedom, the freedom to be in your exam room, the freedom to tell you who you can marry, the freedom to tell you which books you can read. That's who these guys are. Now, well, I said, you know how life works better? And we all learned this at a young age. There's a couple golden rules. The first one is, if you just mind your own damn business and I mind mine, things go better. Things go better. So look, Kamala's been clear. When we talk about freedom, the freedom for you to make choices, not the government. That's the party that John McCain belonged to. That's the party of Eisenhower. So look, seniors, making sure we're strengthening Social Security and Medicare as we talked about. And I want to say this as we're standing in a school, and to the teachers here, to the parents, to everyone else, the freedom, as we get our schools, the freedom to dress our little ones up in their best clothes, to send them off to the school where they're met by teachers who are enthusiastic to get things done. The freedom of those little ones to be kids without being shot dead in a school. I'll just end with this. I'm not taking a back seat. None of us here, I'm not taking a back seat on this. I am a veteran. I am a gun owner. I am a hunter. And you can protect the Second Amendment, which I have done and Kamala's done, and protect our children. And I'll just leave you with this thought. Both the Vice President Harris and myself are both gun owners. The Republican nominee can't pass a background check to buy a gun. Just be clear. Just be clear about that. All right. As I wind this thing down, I'm going to talk to about half the group here. I'm going to talk to the men. And as the men are in here thinking about this, think about the women in your lives that you love, wives, daughters, mothers, sisters, neighbors. This election, their lives, those women you're thinking about right now, their lives are literally on the line. They're at stake in this. Donald Trump repealed Roe, called it a beautiful thing, brags about it. Now my daughter Hope has less rights than her mother had, or her grandmother. Same with all of you. Now we've got 20 states with Trump abortion bans, which he says are just beautiful, beautiful thing out there. That beautiful things mean women try and go in with complication in their pregnancy, and they can't get the care that they need, and they have miscarriages in the parking lot. Or victims of rape and incest can't get the care that they need. Those are the things that are being asked. You think they're stopping there? You think they're stopping there? Fertility clinics turning people away because that's the next thing that they go to. And I've talked about this, personal for me. We shouldn't have to be talking about. There's women's names you now know because they had to have abortions that you now know because they have to speak out because women are dying. Maternal mortality in Texas has shot through the roof. Has shot through the roof. For me and my wife, we tried to have children. We used fertility clinic. We finally were able to have that beautiful daughter. And I will be damned. I will be damned. I'll be damned if I'll let Donald Trump deny anyone in this country the opportunity to have the family that they want. And that's exactly what they're doing. So when we get that Congress back and we restore Congress and they pass protections of Roe versus Wade, Kamala Harris will sign it and we will protect women. All right. One final thing on this. Every day, this guy is something else as he descends into this madness that he's going on. Trump's now been going around on the campaign trail calling America the garbage can of the world. A direct quote. This country that so many died protecting, that is the beacon of the world on democracy and human rights, he calls it the garbage can of the world. That is so pathetic and unpatriotic that it's almost unbelievable. So look, he is literally trash talking this country now, every single day. So it doesn't get simpler. And let's start naming it where it is. Donald Trump hates this country, and everything he does is for Donald Trump. So just say it. His words. Let me give Kamala Harris's words. She believes America is the greatest country on earth, and it's that simple. 10 days, folks, 10 days. So here's what it is. Time to get it in, Phoenix. This is it. It is now time for the final push here. Tie game, fourth quarter, clock's ticking, but here's the good news. We got the better team. We got a better quarterback in Kamala Harris. And we are ready to do it. 1 inch at a time, 1 yard at a time, 1 call at a time, 1 door knock at a time, $1 at a time. This is our time. This is our time. 1 vote, 1 or 2 votes per precincts in the state of Arizona can make Kamala Harris president. It's that simple. As Mark said, if you get an extra buck, go to KamalaHarris.com, find out how you can help. But look, what you can do in here, and I'll ask you, how many have already voted? All right. How many are ready to take another person to the poll? There we go. All right. Look, vote early. You can do it in person with your county. Bring your ID. Get that done. Know what you're doing. If you have to send a mail-in ballot back, you got to have it back by October 29th, or drop it in the box until Election Day. iwillvote.com/AZ to find your location. I've been saying it. There'll be plenty of time to sleep when you're dead. This is all gas, no break for the next 10 days. And when all of us are old and we're on the porch in the rocking chair and the little ones are around us asking, in 2024, what did you do to save the democracy? And the answer is every damn thing that we could. So Arizona, the vice president says it. When we fight, we win. When we vote, we win. Let's do it.